All right. Hello, everybody. I think I'm live. So if you are here, thank you very much for joining. I don't have any plans whatsoever for this. This is completely me just winging a live stream. Hopefully, you can hear me. Hopefully, you can see me. And hopefully, we have a good time. So uh, last year, I had the idea of doing a live stream for 1 year on Booktube, and I completely chickened out, didn't do it. And so here we are, year two. I'm actually doing it. Uh, I wonder, can I? I'm just using the built-in um, YouTube one, so I don't know if I can highlight comments. But thank you very much, Mr. Roru, for that. You have been around since really the beginning, so it always warms my heart when I see you in the comments or interacting. I know you're. Oh, hey, Janny, thank you very much, Janny. I just finished reading. Oh, what section is it in Fugitive Prince? And it's just not fair. That's all I've got to say. It's I can't say what it is because it's a massive spoiler, but it's the last page before you get to Springtrap. And man, I wasn't ready for that right before this. So, hey Shay, thank you very much. I've been enjoying your channel, so you've got some good stuff going on. Wow, this text is really small. I should have made this bigger for myself. But thank you again. Yeah, 2 years. I said this a couple of times, but if you had asked me when I first started this if I thought I would make it to 2 years, I probably would have said no. I I would have said I probably would have done it for a year and would have been done with it, or I would have just had other things going on that I wanted to dedicate more time to. I don't think I thought I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. I still remember I shot my first video. It was before I had this bookshelf, and it was about here, but I just had like my phone set up. I didn't even have a webcam at the time. And that first video I have is still out there, so you can still go see it if you want. And sometimes I still cringe internally, and I think you're supposed to, right? You going back to most people's first video isn't all that great, but I still think about it and cringe a little bit. So yes, Janny. Yeah, I figured you would know exactly what I was talking about. I was not ready for that. Hey, Brian, thank you very much. I hope things. I hope Amazon gets their act together and stops messing with you. I saw you say a couple things about that, and that you're still having some issues there. So I hope that your mom's good. It sounds like she is, but also that Amazon stops playing around, because that's got to be super annoying. I can only imagine. I have to work with support for a lot of software vendors, Amazon being one of them, actually, for their AWS stuff. And sometimes the support on something you're spending a lot of money on in the software world, it's incredible the lack of support you can get. So I can only imagine the boat you're in trying to sell something on Amazon, and I can only imagine the frustrations you're probably going through there. Putter Stewart, thank you very much. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate the kind words. Brian, I have had that exact experience. So obviously this isn't on a sales side, but this is working with Amazon's AWS support, where I've had support reps come in and basically do all kinds of merry-go-round ways of saying, well, it's our fault, but it's not our fault. And it's extremely frustrating. So I can only imagine some of the stuff you have to deal with on your side, because I'm sure it's different. I can only imagine how interesting that is. Chanel, thanks for being here. It is a little nerve-wracking. I think it has helped that I have been on some other people's live streams, and I have been able to like kind of get some of those nerves out, which is nice. And guys, if you want some like crazy books that you're not going to hear about anywhere else on YouTube, check out her channel. She reads some super weird stuff, but in like a good way. Like I don't know, she has read stuff that blows my mind, and I love hearing her talk about it. She has a great channel, so definitely check her out. Slay, thank you very much. I appreciate seeing you in here and all the stuff you're doing in the Discord for us. So I haven't actually announced it too much yet, because we were still working out some things when I was going to do it before, but I am a member of a new Discord group. There's a bunch of us in there. It's called Bookstreet Boys. I'll drop a link to it in here at some point today, and you can come check us all out. Like I said, I think there's what, 7 of us right now, and so we all, it's a bunch of us. We're all kind of doing it together instead of all having individual ones, because there's no way. Discord is still like a black box to me. I've just not something I've ever spent any time, trying to figure out. So yes, the Book Street Boys. Somebody mentioned it and it was just perfect, and so I'll go ahead and actually put it in the chat right now. So if anybody wants to, they can join. If I can figure out how to do that, invite people. There we go. I think since it's my stream, I can put stuff in links in the chat. Okay. So yeah, if anybody wants to join, and also you can, if you pay attention, there are Backstreet Boys references scattered throughout that Discord. So it's pretty funny. I can't take much credit. Slay has been absolutely phenomenal in helping us out. Christopher Navo definitely has been spearheading it like crazy, and so I really appreciate all the effort that those guys have put in, and that I'm kind of just reaping the benefits of, if I'm going to be completely honest. So if you want to interact and stuff there, that is going to be a good place to get a hold of me if you want, because beforehand it was really just Instagram, which I miss stuff on there all the time. I'm really bad about it. So I think this Discord is going to be a great place to have a lot of that stuff. Noel, hey, how are you doing? I'm looking forward to our chat. I don't know if you want me to talk about it, but I just did, so I can't take that back. But I'm going to be having a discussion in 2-ish weeks, I think. I have it written down, so I have it. But we're going to be sitting down and chatting, and so that'll be fun. Oh, you joined. I'm glad people like the name. I thought it was pretty creative. When that was suggested, it was like the perfect, like, oh, that's so funny and just creative. So it was pretty great. Nev, thank you very much. 2 years, like I said before, it's crazy that it's been. Honestly, it's crazy that it's been that long, but it hasn't felt like that long at the same time. So Shay, don't worry. So it's funny. I have used Discord for years to hang out with my friends. I have a lot of friends who live like across the country from me, and so I play video games and stuff all the time in Discord. But like even basic Discord stuff, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I can barely figure out how to join a Discord, let alone run one. So this was like the perfect opportunity for me. When I got invited into this, I was like, this is perfect. I'll be an active member. I'll help make decisions. But as far as like admin stuff, I can probably learn it. I could if I really put some effort into it. But it was just like a perfect storm, because I had been thinking about, I don't really have a good place to have a community really other than the comment section, and the comments are great. That's really why a lot of us do these videos and stuff, is to have interaction like this. And so it was just like perfect timing, really. Bookish Daddy, thank you very much. Already, I just finished watching. I think it was your video, right, on the Murderbot versus We Are Legion. I just finished watching that right before this. That was a great video. I really like that idea, because I think those are two really good books to compare. So, for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, I just watched a video where they compared Murderbot and We Are Legion, which is the first book in the Bobbyverse series, two of my favorite sci-fi series, and it was just a really great video. I disagree with what their conclusion was, so you'll have to go watch the video to find out where they came down on it. But all books work differently. I was trying to think of another one that you should do, but I couldn't come up with a good one right off the top of my head. Maybe it almost feels unfair, but I think you could maybe do like the Five Warrior Angels and Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is like such like a well-known one that might be hard to do, but I think they're similar enough that you could like compare them in a similar way that Murderbot and the Bobbyverse are. So maybe that's one. I didn't actually leave that in my comment, but Christopher, thank you very much. I was just talking about all the work you have been putting into the Discord, and just how much I appreciate that, how I get to just kind of reap the benefits of a lot of the work that you and Slay are doing. So I don't know if you heard that or not, but Love and lore, thank you very much. Brian, that is a lot of I thought I read a lot on Saturday. I probably read for a couple hours straight, which isn't normal for me, especially on the weekend. Actually, funny enough, I don't know. I'd love to hear this from some everyone watching. Do you get most of your reading done on the weekend or during the week? Because for me, surprisingly enough, I actually get so much more reading done during the week. I am very much a structure person and a routine person. So my Monday through Fridays are very structured and routine. I know, like if you tell me what time something is, or you ask me what time of the day what I'm doing at that time, I have a pretty good indication of what I'll be doing for the most part. And so that really lets me get my reading in like a structured way, and I'll know that, like, okay, I'm going to be able to read if I'm listening to an audiobook when I drive to the gym from 4 to like 4:20. I'll get 20 minutes or so of my audiobook in. I know I'll work out, and then I know if I'm doing cardio that day, when I'm doing cardio, that's another 20 minutes that I'll get to listen to, and then another 20 minutes home. And that structure is always there for me during the week. And on the weekends, I don't know, I sleep in till like way late. I normally get up pretty early for work, like 7 o'clock in the morning, which isn't early probably for a lot of people. But I do sleep in like on today. Well, today's a little bit of a misnomer because it was daylight saving times or whatever. But like sleeping in till noon on the weekend is one of my favorite pastimes because I don't have anything to do, and that definitely disrupts my reading quite a bit. Brian says the weekend. This is why I don't stream as much on the weekends. Okay, that makes sense. Yep, Slay's with me during the week. Christopher also during the week. Okay, nice. Yeah, Jake, that doesn't surprise me. I know you have a lot going on, and so that does not surprise me that you kind of every single day. And I wonder. I'm sure some of that has to do with you. You're a personal trainer, right? So I wonder if maybe that makes it. I know you have said like your weekends are Wednesday because that's like the one day a week you don't like actually work, or something like that. And so I wonder. I'm curious on having a little bit more of a non-traditional structure makes it a little bit easier to do because I'm telling on the weekends, man, there are days where I just like don't do anything and I feel bad about it, but I I just take those days and just relax and mindlessly scroll on my phone, which is not good. I actually, funny enough, I'm planning. I think I found a new reading hack for myself, and I'm probably going to make a video about it at some point. I've got to keep testing it out. I got to see if it's really a hack or if it's just something I'm going to forget about in a week or two. So keep a lookout for that. But I think I might have found a hack to get me to read more, which is super nice. As somebody who already feels like they read a decent amount, I think doing it is is a good is a good one. I think I might have something good. The bearded book beast is here. What's up, man? I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. I hope I haven't got to watch your book haul yet, your beastly mail yet. I have it in a tab actually right now to get to here. Hopefully tonight, we'll see. But I hope getting back from vacation was not nearly as bad as your trip there. Seeing that video of you in I think it was the airport or like wherever you landed, trying to get onto a boat or something, that's like my personal, like one of my nightmares, right? Of just like not being able to get to where I need to go when I need to is just absolutely uh awful. Oh, Noel started the Fourth Wing audiobook and only 12% in. Man, that is going to be my video coming out on Tuesday is my girlfriend and I's discussion that we had on Fourth Wing, and I think it's going to be I think everyone's gonna have a good time with it. We had a lot of fun doing it. Um, we had a good time doing it. Sorry, she actually just texted me. She told me that I keep squinting, but that's okay. Uh, we that discussion was a lot of fun to film, and we do have some stuff that we're gonna do in the future together, but, hopefully everybody has a good time with it. It's not, it's one of those ones where we're pretty critical about the book in general, but it's one of those things at the same time we just had so much fun reading it, I think. And it's definitely, I said this in one of my weekly wrap up, it's one of those books that the further away I get from it, all of the negative, bad stuff I think about it go away. and just some of the fun, goofy stuff for the most part is what stays. And so I don't know, it almost feels like I have Stockholm syndrome a little bit with it because I wasn't that positive with it overall. And then it's like, well, once I was done with it, I just was like, well, was it that bad? Like I feel like I'm or like gaslighting myself into thinking it's better or something, which is I don't know. It's been an interesting experience, and we'll see what happens whenever I get to Iron Flame, which will happen. I doubt this year, maybe this year. We'll see. I don't have like super intent reading plans for it yet. Okay, I'm glad to hear that coming back was a lot better. And I see some people excited for the fourth wing. Yeah, I think it's just fun. It's just us sitting there and talking about it for it's going to be one of the longer videos I probably have on my channel. It's going to probably I still have to edit it actually, but it's probably going to be like over 30 minutes or close to actually. And so it should be fun. Ben is asking, how do you feel about the Steelers trading? So this is actually the last thing I saw before I got onto the stream today was that so I'm a massive Steelers fan. You can see, oh, wrong arm over here. You can see my helmet and stuff. Uh, I'm excited, right? I feel like the Steelers have been an organization since Ben retired that have taken a lot of half steps, a lot of half measures, have never really gone all in into something that I think is going to be a meaningful change, right? We've always been the kind of organization like look at Mike Williams last year. Like we're dumpster diving for talent, right? We draft or we traded what a sixth round pick or something for Mike Williams to come in and catch 9 passes in 12 games or something like that. Like that's abysmal. And you could point to quarterback play for some of that. You could look at play calling for some of that. But we have been an organization that has had a tradition of winning. And a lot of that was because we had a Hall of Fame quarterback. And we have stuck to some of these traditions and some of these precedents that for the past since 2018, so we're getting close to 10 years at this point, have shown to not work in the modern NFL. Some of that has to do with not extending players earlier, so they get more expensive, right? So like we should have signed TJ Watt to an extension last year, and now Myles Garrett just signed a $40 million a year contract. Are we supposed to now beat that and sign TJ to a $41 million a year contract extension when if we had just done it a little bit earlier, we could have gotten away with like 30. And so I think it just maybe is showing a shift of what is going on inside of the organization. I'm curious. We still obviously have massive questions at quarterback. So I just, it is what it is, right? So we'll see what happens there. So yeah, I saw that it was a second round pick and a seventh, and we get a sixth back and him. I'm a little surprised it was a second rounder. I thought a third would probably get it done for him. But like you got to pay top level talent. To me, he's maybe slightly underperformed for some of his physical skills, being like he's 6'4", 230, shredded, super fast and everything. And maybe he's never developed 100% as a route runner. But I mean, this is a step in the direction I think the team needed to make. And hopefully that means we're going to start being a little bit more forward thinking instead of, like I said, we have scraped by with decent coaching and top level talent bailing out some of the lower level talent. So that's a long way of saying I'm not in love with DK Metcalf, but I'm excited to at least give it a chance, right? It's something I feel like we needed to do. It's a massive hole. I mean, Metcalf and George Pickens together has got to be like one of the better wide receiver rooms in the league, right? Like you would think, especially if you mix in Freiermuth with that. Like I think Freiermuth is somebody who needs to probably take a step up in output. But yeah, that's my general thoughts. Sorry to all the book people who just listened to me talk about football for way too long. And if you ever do want to derail me, you can ask me about Steelers football. And I definitely can. Noel, that is an interesting experience. I'm sure you're going to have with Fourth Wing then, with some of your military background stuff, because obviously it's a military fantasy with dragons and stuff. So I'll be interested to see what you think as you get further and further into it. But it's one of those ones where like you can poke holes in it all day, but it's like that's not the point of this story, right? It's the Fourth Wing I'm talking about. the point is to not poke holes in it, right? You're just kind of supposed to throw some of it out of the window and keep going with it, right? Ben, that is a great. He is definitely a diva. I every year I hope that as he gets older, he might grow up a little bit. Uh, but that hasn't happened yet. And maybe if I think a lot of it will come down to who ends up playing quarterback with us. I don't know how we are going to have Arthur Smith, who's a primarily run heavy guy, but we have two wide receivers who let's not act like DK Metcalf wasn't have a little bit of diva in him, not on the same level as George Pickens, obviously. So that's a good point. I think it'll be very interesting to see how that gets balanced out. And I think, if we change up our scheme a little bit and maybe have a quarterback who's just down to sling it, and you can feed both of them at the same time, and they can both be like 1,100-yard receivers. I mean, I'm going to be positive about it until it blows up in our face. But this is like one of those things that, as a Steelers fan, you've been asking this organization to do, and so you can't be upset about it, right? Jake, not a NFL guy, but I love the detailed analysis. I love getting into the nitty gritty and stuff. So I'm not a huge basketball person, but I do still like to get into it just enough. Like I'm kind of football is definitely like my specialty. I can really get nitty and gritty with football, and for some of the other sports, I can like make my way through a casual conversation. But I feel like half of the NBA, or if not more, of like the intrigue behind the NBA is like not even watching the games, but it's like the stuff that happens off the court, whether it be trades, contracts. But it's just such a star-driven league that it's just you get that access to an individual who has so much power, unlike the NFL, where really you have a handful of quarterbacks that maybe do, but for the most part, most players are nobodies to the average NFL like audience, right? Jenny, no, have no TV, so no. Yeah, that's honestly one of the only reasons I actually do have TV is because of sports. If it wasn't for like needing my obsessive need to watch as much football as I can every Sunday and Saturday for college, I could probably cut TV out too. I really don't watch too much of it, so it's kind of fun. But Jake, I do agree. Hockey is very fun to watch live. It's probably my favorite thing to watch live, like in person, at least. I went to a hockey game. Jake, actually, if you remember this, when we did our Wind and Truth discussion, I was in Raleigh to watch a hockey game. So that was fun when we did that. Noel, you grew up on NASCAR. I watched a lot of NASCAR when I was younger, and I also live in NASCAR country, like hardcore NASCAR country. I don't want to dox myself too much, but like it doesn't get more NASCAR than where I am right now, which is probably enough information for somebody into NASCAR to know where I am. But in general, like I'm in the heart of NASCAR country. So NBA is arguably about the drama than the actual games these days, unfortunately. Yeah, I think I think the NBA has like an interesting problem, right? And it's one thing that I think the NFL just has an inherent advantage where how many NBA games actually matter in a season versus like the NFL or college football, where like with there only being 17 games, each one matters so much. And uh, like basketball just has the same thing with like baseball and hockey to an extent, where individual games seem to not matter as much, and so you get some of those opportunities where players are doing load management, where maybe they're not trying as hard as they could, and those kinds of things. And it's an interesting conundrum because I don't know how you fix it, right? Because like the revenue, I don't think you can just stop having 82 games. And so like I don't know what you do. I feel like you're kind of in a pickle there as far as the NBA goes. But like the last 2 minutes of an NBA game, if it's not just like a foul fest, can be pretty entertaining. So grew up on that. Yes, I am in North Carolina. Slay, I mainly watch UFC and tennis. So not really a tennis person. Like I said, I know like a few of the top names. But the UFC, every now and again, I do get pretty into it. I try to watch most of the big cards. I didn't watch Pereira last night, and it sounds like it was a good thing because it was a really boring fight, apparently, from what I've heard on the internet. Like I said, didn't watch it, so I don't know. I'm kind of sad to see that he lost just for the fact that I thought he was slowly working his way into one of the greats status with some of his wins and the way he had done it. And I feel like obviously this loss really puts a hamper on that. Yeah, from Slay. So from what I've heard is it's it was him just walking backwards, kind of up against the cage the whole night, which is sad. Because that's not what you want to see from him. You want to see him throwing, and maybe part of it was he was afraid he was going to get taken down because I can't pronounce the guy's name he was fighting, but he's a wrestler from what I heard, and so that maybe he was afraid he was going to get taken down and just get smothered or something. Got to go to bed here. Shout out 5 a.m. wake up time. Oh, 5 a.m. That is early. Have a good night, Jake. I hope you get some rest. And man, 5 a.m. That is rough. Tom, we have to do something about all the yes. So the empty bookshelf. So originally, I did not have these bookshelves. When I first started my channel, I didn't have these. I only had the one that's directly behind me, and then I bought that one because it fit in the corner so nicely. And so most of that one is pretty full. And part of the thing is I don't really buy a lot of physical books anymore because I have moved so much that I told myself moving physical books was just a nightmare. And I got so tired of moving physical books that I was like, okay. And then I'm all audio at this, or not all audio, but I listen to so many audiobooks now that I have so many books that I should buy just to have on my shelf, but because I've listened to them. And so actually my girlfriend is slowly stacking this bookshelf up slowly, but surely it is coming up with some of her books. Congrats, Tom. I found your channel through your appearance on Belltube a bit ago, and I've really enjoyed your. Oh, well, thank you very much, Caleb. I appreciate that. Brian is an awesome guy. I was super excited when he asked me to be on For Whom the Bell Tolls. He's got a great thing going on over there, and I always appreciate it. 4 a.m. Slay, you are just. I know you. I won't say that because I don't know if you want people to know what I was about to say, but that is very early, and I don't know when you sleep because it doesn't seem like you do, which is pretty crazy. Who is your favorite UFC fighter? Personally, I'm a Velasquez fan. Also, okay. So if we're going to go all time, this is kind of a deeper cut, but my favorite of all time is probably Joe Lozon. If you know who that is, he was he probably retired. He's like semi-retired right now. He was supposed to have a fight and it got canceled. I don't think he's probably fought since 2019. But in his heyday, he was tied, or he had the record for most fight of the night bonuses. So, like fight of the night, submission of the night, knockout of the night. He had the most of those bonuses. And there is a fight he had with, oh gosh, Dan Miller? Is it Dan Miller? But it's like a bloodbath. Like actually they were like so much, they bled so much on the mat, or Joe bled so much on the canvas for that fight. They gave him the canvas and it's like hanging up in his gym now. So he is, probably my like all-time favorite. If I had to think of one of the current guys, that's harder to do because I bounce off of them so quickly now, right? Yeah, it's hard for me to pick. And so many of them are like they're kind of active, but they're kind of not. Like, is Dustin Poirier still technically active, or is he retired now, or is he supposed to have one more? I've always enjoyed his fights, even though he could like never kind of get over the hump, but he always put on a good show normally. So I could maybe say him for right now if I needed to pick like a current guy. Who's your okay? I did that. Also, I started. I'm glad you like Frenin. I don't know what the actual proper pronunciation of it is, but that in 10 chapters has completely blown me away. That manga is Just really something special, I think, and I'm hoping it can keep up the trajectory because it's going to end up being like an all-time favorite for me if it is. Hobby vomit, man, that's such a good name. I saw you in somebody else's chat. I think it might have been Brian's over at Bell Tubes, but I think that is maybe where. But that is such a hobby vomit. Short-term lurker, first-time poster, and it has to be about the glorious caterpillar stash. Thank you. I'm glad there. If you go back far enough, there are some videos. There's a decent amount where I don't have the mustache. So if you're curious on how I look without the mustache, you can definitely go back and find that. It's been around for so long that most people probably haven't seen me without it. But it's not that different. But thank you. I appreciate it. It's funny because it's the only facial hair I can grow. If I tried to grow a beard, I don't think it would turn out too well. It's very patchy and pretty thin. So I don't think it's something that would go very well for me. I have the book junkie. Hey, how are you doing? Preacher Preacher reads nothing worse than loving an ebook or audiobook and then having to go. Yes, that is exactly having to go and buy a physical one to have on yourself. I try to do it, especially at like secondhand books, because I don't want to spend full price basically twice for the same book. So I do try to find it if I can find one at a used bookshop. Or at one point, I told myself if I could, I would only buy ones that I like really like had a big impact on me or something like that. But I haven't really committed to it either way, actually. Uh, so Christopher, I'm actually just using YouTube's built-in stream service that they have with a webcam. So that's why I can't have any of. I would like to like highlight the messages I'm talking about and stuff, but because I knew I was just kind of throwing this together a little bit last minute, I didn't explore any of the like the live streaming softwares. I just was like, oh, YouTube has a built-in option. That's what I'm going to go with, and it seems to have worked so far for this very limited. Like, I don't think I could have another person in the stream or anything like that, but for what I'm doing right now, it's working on like this level. Hi, Samwise. Hey, how are you doing? Chance, how are you doing, man? I hope you're doing well. Wasabi, as you always say, cracks me up. I don't know why every time. Also, when you told me that he and Amanda Rake watches you while you sleep, I busted out laughing. That was very funny. Guys, if you want to know what I'm talking about, you can go watch. Was it your most recent like weekly update? You go check out Chance's most recent video, and there's just a funny little moment that he said something that it made me laugh. So that was great. Have I read any Warhammer 40K? I have not. I actually have one in my like TBR list to read some of Warhammer stuff. I think it's Krieg. Is that what it's called? Where it's like what is it? There's like a group of people who went against the empire, and then to like win back loyalty, they're just like this crazy group of like warriors or something like that. So I have that one in. I am curious about the 40K stuff, but it just seems like one of those universes where there's like a lot of good stuff, but there's also just like a lot of filler, and I don't want to call it bad. I'm going to just specifically say filler because it's such a wide expansive universe that it's not necessarily always stitched together super well, but it is definitely a universe I'm curious in. Like the Space Marine stuff, I think is cool. I want to play that video game. It looks cool, and so there's definitely stuff. I've been curious about 40K for a while and have just never really taken the plunge as much as I would like to for 40K. And maybe if you have some suggestions for what books to read to like kind of start with, I'd love to hear it because, like I said, it is something I am curious in. So Noelle, it's funny you say that. So she said, it's not that different. When my dad shaved his beard plus stash when I was young, I cried. Those are some of the funniest. There's like videos on the internet of dads like shaving and going and seeing their small child and the child just being petrified. And I think they are so funny. I laugh every time I see one. I watch it all the way through and I laugh the entire time because they're just they're just super funny. Ryan, thank you very much. It's not that different. I don't think the mustache is that different. Avid Book Junkie says try OBS or Streamlabs when you look into it. Yeah, I saw that OBS has some. Excuse me. I saw that OBS has some like built-in stuff that you can do, and I have used that to screen record and stuff before. So that's kind of where I was leaning into to see that. Vera popping in to say happy 2 years. Thank you very much. Isn't it probably like stupid early in the morning for you right now? Ah, there it is. I'll catch you on rewatch because it's 1 a.m. for me, but had to pop it. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I hope you get some sleep. It's very late. That's funny. I thank you again for popping in. I've had a great time every time I've got a chance to be in a discussion with you. So look forward to our next one, which I'm sure will happen at some time. He does watch me. Yes, that is Chance. Very funny. When I saw that response to that comment, it was it was very funny. Slay is telling me that Space Marine 2 is epic. It looks epic, and I get a lot of like edits for some of the stuff that happens with the Space Marine with like really epic music and stuff that's going on, and so it makes me want to play it. There's some like really good hype edits and stuff that use the Space Marines, so I would like to play it at some point. I'm so behind on playing video games though. Just as an example of how behind I am on video games, I have been trying to play Red Dead Redemption 2 for like 2 years now. I think I've put like 6 hours into it over 2 years. So I have done a pretty poor job of playing video games, which is fine. It's one of those hobbies like TV that I kind of not cut out because I still do play video games. I just end up playing the same game over and over again. But it's one of those things that I cut out a little bit to have more reading time and to do videos and stuff. And it's been a great trade off. I think it's worth it. And so that's kind of where I've come with that. Chance says, "Yeah, I'm trashed at scripted videos." I am too, actually. I tried to do some scripted stuff, but I have found that I need a balance. So a little bit of behind the making of YouTube videos. For me, I like to have some just bullet points that I want to look through to make sure I don't forget anything because that's normally what will happen. I'll start rambling and I'll be like, ah, that was everything. And it never is. So I'll have like my iPad with some like light notes about what I want to talk about, some things I want to look at. And then I kind of talk from there. Every now and again, I'll have a little bit more extensive notes. Like if I'm going to talk about a book, I'll try to have like the back page synopsis or something on it just to give some substance because I really like when somebody just pitches me a book in like a sentence or two. And so I try to like have that balanced line there. So that's kind of how I end up making my videos. Sometimes they're a little bit more scripted, but for the most part, I'm a bullet point kind of person. One take every week. Yeah, yours is great. When you have a kid, you got to do the mustache trick. Oh, absolutely. I think that will be one of the most hilarious things that I can like maybe subconsciously the reason I grew the mustache was so that I could do that trick. I just started getting into reading 40K. I guess there are 600 books. Yeah, that I have seen that like the library for 40K is extensive. I was told to start with Eisenhorn. Okay, I have heard of that. I just bought some miniatures to paint with my 5-year-old. He's excited. Yeah, the miniatures look super cool. That's not something I made. You can't see it. It's somewhere. It actually might not even be in this room. But the only miniature things I've ever done is my grandma bought me like a miniature Corvette or something at one point with like a really intricate engine sticking out of the hood. That's like the only miniature I've made. Uh, but I know people get super into the Warhammer 40K stuff. There's a game shop somewhere near me, and they have so much Warhammer stuff. So, uh, do you game, Tom, or just have a gamer headset? Yeah, so I definitely used to be much more of a gamer. I don't play video games nearly as much now as I used to. In college, my my schedule for life was basically I'd get up, go to class, go to the gym, go back to my dorm, shower, play video games until dinner, go back to my dorm and play video games for like 6 hours, 7 hours, and then do it all over again. And during that time, I was mostly playing CS:GO. I don't remember what my rank was. It was close to, it wasn't DMG, but it was close to DMG for anybody who cares about CS:GO. And then when Valorant came out, I am friends with somebody who works at Riot Games, and so we played. Well, we still play Valorant now, not as much as we used to, but I played that. I don't enjoy Valorant as much as CS:GO or CS2 even at this point. I've played a decent amount of CS2, not anything like I used to, but yeah, still playing Valorant every now and again, and I'm not good at Valorant. My first person shooters skills are gone at this point. I don't think they exist in their current iteration anymore. I'm like a silver level Valorant player if I'm lucky at this point, and some of that's probably just I don't play that much. But I do play a few other games. But gaming with Booktube folks would certainly get me back into it. I agree. I would definitely play with people, but I just don't. I just never make time for it like I normally do. I do need to finish Red Dead Redemption 2 Slay. I'm like the last person to that party, but I just need to. Chance, thanks for stopping by, man. Hope you have a good one. Not the 6 hours. Yes, thank you. So that's two people have said Eisenhorn is a decent place to start with Warhammer. I have heard that. Caleb says, doing better than me. I probably played Red Dead Redemption 2 for an hour and two and haven't touched it for months. So funny enough, I played 3 hours of it in 2024 and then didn't. And this was like, so my goal in 2024 was to beat one game a month because I have a pretty extensive library of single player games that have just been sitting around and I'm not playing. So I started with Red Dead Redemption 2, was like, oh, about a month should be enough to finish this. Played 3 hours like one day, didn't touch it for the rest of 2024 and have only played it twice in 2025. So I feel you on that. Hobby Vomit asks, do you rotate spots when you read, or do you have a single comfy spot you love? Yeah, so since most of my reading is audiobooks, my favorite thing to do actually is to walk. I pace. I have a hallway here. It goes up and down my house, and I will just pace back and forth on an audiobook. If I'm physically reading, my favorite thing to do is to physically read right before bed. So in bed, reading physically, or we have this really small couch in our loft area that I'll lay on. And then actually just on the floor in this office, sometimes I'll just lay on the floor and read. So those are kind of my spots. But for the most part, I get a lot of my reading done while I'm walking. So that's kind of my audiobook trick, because I know a lot of people say they get distracted. And I totally get that. Like, I think it would be hard to just sit with either, like, what are you going to do? Stare at a blank wall or with your eyes closed or something with audiobooks. But I find that walking, it's not really something you think about too much. So you can really just listen to the book and experience the book. But you're still walking. So you still have a little bit of extra stimulus, but that has been like my hack as far as audiobooks and go and everything. I've played an embarrassing amount of Call of Duty, Black Ops 6. I have not touched Call of Duty in quite some time at this point. Christopher says, I'm obsessed with Elden Ring. So I have a funny Dark Souls experience. This was in college. I think it was Dark Souls 3 was on sale for like 99 cents. So me and a couple of my buddies bought it and they played it. And we're talking about how hard it was. I was like, oh man, I don't think I'm going to want to deal with this. And so they came over to watch me fight the first boss. And I beat the first boss, first try, no problem. Said, well, that's enough of that, and never played the game again. So they always like to joke that I am maybe the greatest Dark Souls player who has just like stopped playing Dark Souls. It's obviously a joke because it's not true. I think I just got lucky that I didn't die to the very first boss. And I'm pretty sure it's Dark Souls 3. But one of the Dark Souls games. And so I have not picked up a Souls-like game since then. So when everyone was talking about how great Elden Ring was, I just was out on it. Preacher says, I have begun and failed to finish so many video games. I like competitive and multiplayer games to scratch that sports itch. Yeah, I heard you talking about that with Jake the other day, and I get it. I wish the competitive itch got scratched from those video games. Even when I was grinding CS, I never like got that competitive itch for me. I know my buddy who I play CS:GO with 90% of the time, he is that same way where like he's like that scratches his competitive itch, which is great. It just doesn't for me for whatever reason. Not me peaking gold one in CS:GO after hey man, I was probably carried a little bit by some of my friends because I was definitely the worst of our party, but I didn't have anything else going on, so I just grinded a lot of CS:GO. Throwback to old school Cobble, that was our map. We could we could swing way above our play weight just on Cobble alone because we just had that map kind of locked down. Loved Valorant. I wasn't any good at it, but it was fun. Yeah, I was never. I think I peaked at like gold 2 in Valorant, so way less than, and that was like the first act probably. So Valorant was never the same for me. I'm an Overwatch stan. I played one game of Overwatch on a buddy's PC and was like, not for me. But I know so many people love Overwatch. How do you feel about the Overwatch 2 stuff? I think a lot of people were very unhappy with that. Dude, I have this is from Preacher. Dude, I have 1K or more hours in Valorant. I probably am close to 1K at this point, if I'm going to be honest. Um, I'd have to. There's what tracker.gg. I'd probably have to go and double check to see, but I've been playing since launch, and that's been quite a while at this point. So I probably have close to 1K, which is nothing compared to some people. So if that makes you feel better or worse. Was never good enough for Valorant. Man, Valorant's a different beast compared to CS:GO. There's so much more going on, and a lot of times I feel like I think they're one of the things that the devs like to say is what you see is what you get or something in Valorant, or that there's a perception problem, and that's just not been my experience with Valorant. Tom, when we schedule a Book Street Boy convention in Cozumel/Cancun, are you in? Absolutely, Ryan. I like to travel, and I have been to both. Actually, I have not been to Cancun. I have been to Cozumel, and I would definitely. Is that the last time I went to Mexico? I, me and my we got very intoxicated. That was an interesting experience. So Hobby Vomit says walking and power washing simulator on the only two ways that audiobooks work for me. I could see that. Those some of those simulator games, especially that one, seem to like, it's like not you don't really have to think about them, so you can still like give your whole brain power to the audiobook, but still like kind of like just have that something because I do think it's weird. Like I can't like I'm mostly an audiobook person, right? And I don't think I can just like sit and stare into something and listen to it. So Shay asks, "What are your favorite audiobook narrators?" I adore Maury Quint and Tim Reynolds. So my favorite is probably Michael Kramer and Kate Redding. I've listened to them so much that it's really hard for me not to put them that high up as far as audiobook narrators go. Um, who is it? Ray Porter also is one that I really, really like. He did all of the Expanse books, right? I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure that he did that, and he also did the Bobby book verse or the Bobby verse books. Um, let's see, who did? No, he did not do the Expanse. Who did the Expanse? Jefferson Mays. I think he does a good job there. So yeah, those were probably. I mean, it's really hard for me to go much higher than Ray Porter and Michael Kramer/Kate Redding, and I know those are two different people. So, but I think they are just so intertwined for me. So those would be my best ones. Ben asked, "When are you writing your own novel/series?" Probably never. I'm not a writer. I'm a guy who reads books. Um, every now and again, I think I have like the ember of something that I could maybe write a story about, uh, but it's not something that I have ever really like thought too much about, right? And maybe it's something that could happen at some point, but it's not something on my radar. I have so much respect for the people who do write stories, and maybe at some point I would consider it, but it's not really something that's ever spoken to me, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like I said, every now and again, I think I have like an ember of something, and maybe I should try it and write like a short story or something. But it's just not ever something that's like called to me. Like I feel like people who want to write, it would call to them, if that makes sense. Preacher. Oh man. Well, I hope you feel better. Thank you for stopping by. And yeah, man, I know the flu and norovirus and stuff has been going around bad right now. So definitely hope you feel better because that stuff's rough. I have a buddy at the gym who he lost like 13 or 14 pounds in a couple of days being sick. So hopefully you feel better. Philip, thank you for stopping by. Thank you very much. I appreciate seeing you in here, and thank you again for having me on Dear Dr. Fantasy. It was a great time, and I appreciate you stopping by. Bart, how are you doing? Thank you very much for 2 years. Uh, I'm glad I could convince you to read We Used to Live Here, and yeah, it's nice to see you. Hobby bump, yeah, yeah. Hey Dan, how are you doing? So we are getting close to an hour, and that is kind of what I had budgeted time wise to do this for. So if you guys have anything else you want to ask, go ahead, ask now. If not, we'll probably wrap up here pretty soon. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate everyone who showed up and interacted and everything. I had no idea how this was going to go. I was kind of nervous. And I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit from talking for an hour straight, which I didn't expect either. I should have brought more water. Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate it. Ben, yeah, maybe it's something I can do at least once a quarter or something. It is pretty fun. I don't know if I'll ever venture into the like dual thing, but it would be nice to maybe do some like uh, book discussion stuff. So it's something I should look into a little bit more. Yeah, maybe it can be a little bit more regular than once every 2 years. Jenny, thank you. I appreciate it very much. I'm very much looking forward to continuing with your series and your books. They are fantastic, and you're just an awesome presence here in the Booktube community. And I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate your Christmas card you sent me, the books you have sent me. It's just been an absolute honor to get to know you and interact with you and everything. So, like I said, very much looking forward to keep reading your books and everything. Thank you again, Philip. Great first live stream and great chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Janny is absolutely awesome. She's the best. Thank you, Slay, for being here as well. And like I said earlier, everything you're doing for the Book Street Boys Discord and everything. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. I'm glad you could make it. Glad you're home safe and all of that fun stuff. So and yeah, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Once again, thank you everybody who showed up. If you're watching this on replay, I think there should be a replay up of this. So at least I hope so. Definitely feel free to leave me a comment down below in the comments and everything. But thank you all again. I am glad to be doing this and glad you guys are all a part of it. And yeah, here's to at least 2 more years, right? So thank you, everybody. And remember, as I always say at the end of my videos, read what you want when you want.